Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the new EverQuest 2 webcast. My name is Dave Georgeson. I'm the Director of Development for the EverQuest franchise. And of course, we're here to talk about EverQuest 2. With me is Mike Gans, one of the designers on the team. Actually, they're all three designers. The one on the end is the lead designer. Brian Ferguson and EQII Hooper. And they're here to talk to you specifically today about the updates that we're making in the near future, in the next couple of months will come out. But most importantly, all of these updates that we'll be talking about today will be hitting the test server next Tuesday. So if you're interested at all in the test server, and we really hope you are because it's great getting your feedback, then come and check it out next Tuesday, and all of this stuff we're talking about today will be there. So hello, everybody.
Hey, how you
Hello.
doing?
I guess we'll dive right into it because we've got a lot to talk about today. There's lots of details and also lots of stuff that's pretty darn cool. We are changing some stuff. Some of it's kind of nitty-gritty. We'll start with the more mechanical nature stuff and kind of explain like why we're doing it and what we're doing. Wanted to start specifically with the focus effect stuff that we're changing. I know that we have class foci, but we have a lot of new users in our midst also. Could one of you please tell us what is a class focus?
Well, the class focus effects are, they've been historically on high-end raid gear, and then they eventually transitioned to being on most high-level gear. They are just simply passive effects that were on items that enhance an ability, like focus tenacity for the Inquisitor would make it from a single target buff to a group buff. And just little things like that. Some of them aren't as drastic, though.
Sure, cool stuff that you get with time.
Right.
And then, so that was on your equipment. So what are we doing to them now? What's the difference?
Well, we've moved them from your equipment to your character development window in the first page of where your alternate advancements would be generally.
Oh, so on that big page of stuff.
Well, the big page of stuff is no longer a big page anymore. We've taken the traits with the health, the power, the mana, the regenerations, health and power regenerations, and then your resistances, along with primary attributes. All of that was just down this huge list. We've condensed them. Every time you purchase a focus effect, which you can start at level 9, and every 9 levels you can purchase a new one, you get all of those rolled in. So you get all of those traits, a little piece of what you would. And then at the high level, when you get all the way up to level 90 plus, you have all of it as if you had way more than you did right now on live.
So this combines, correct me if I'm wrong, this combines all the class focus stuff that you had on your equipment with the racial trait stat bonus stuff, and then puts it into something that you can pick over time as you go through and advance your character.
Right. It combines it with not the racial traits, but the everybody's traits, the character advancement traits in your character development.
So what's still on that page then?
Well, you'll see at the top, you'll see your selections for your racials. So dark elves still get inspired brilliance, I believe it's called, but those specific racial choices that you get every 10 levels. Then below that, you'll see the focus effects. The first row of the focus effects are all generic ones. They're new ones, so if you don't like, some Furies don't like focus hibernation. You don't have to take that anymore. You can take focus speed and get an in-combat run speed increase.
Right.
All of your focus effects are right there, and with those you get your physical resistance. Not your physical resistance, but your magical resistances, your attributes, stamina, and your health, power, and your health and power restoration in combat. You get all of that rolled in with one.
Okay.
Below that would be your character's class Grandmaster choices, which are still right down there. And those haven't been touched.
Cool. That sounds great. So, why make this change? Why move it from the equipment to the character?
Well, so when class focuses first went in, they were on equipment, obviously, and it got to the point where we were always putting them on equipment. So it ended up being something that was granted as part of your character anyways. And so we figured that instead of putting it on equipment forever, that we just make it actually a part of your character. And so now it's a part of everyone's character. You get to choose which ones you want in order you get them in, starting at level 9. So now instead of having to look for armor or having to worry about if your armor is going to have the right focus effect on it, you can just pick it and you get them at an earlier level. And if there's one you don't like, you can not have it and not have to worry about not being able to get that breastplate because it had the wrong focus effect on it. And it's better for everyone.
I got to admit, I was playing Darklight Woods because we revamped Darklight Woods for the newbie experience, and you'll be seeing that soon. I was playing through Darklight Woods, and when I got to level 9 and I got this ding, I was like, what is that? And I pulled up the page, I'm like, oh, cool, new stuff. I started playing with those. Yeah, there's some neat abilities in there. It's really cool to get those at a lower level.
And they respec with your, you can respec them too, so if you pick one you don't like, you just go and respec like you do your A's and everything else and just spend them again later on.
That's awesome. So since this is replacing the adornments that were on the equipment, what happens to the adornments that were on the equipment?
Well, we have a refund system in place, and the currency that was spent on your adornments, that'll be refunded to you. So you're not going to lose anything.
Refunded how?
When you log on, the adornments will no longer be on your items, and in its place, you'll have the currency.
Or whatever currency you spend.
Right.
On?
So if you spend void shards, or like marks of Minar, I believe, or seals of Arad from Sentinel's Fate, or if you spent pure primal Velium shards, you'll have those tokens back.
Cool. So you get the abilities for free and you get the tokens. So that's
right. So you don't lose anything.
Cool. In fact, that's kind of a win. Does this change only affect abilities? But it doesn't, does it? Because it combines those stat things in too.
Right, yeah. It affects the items that have the focus effects, which will no longer have them. The adornments that no longer exist. And it affects the character development window. So the window will be much, much easier to read without that huge long list of pools, traits, attributes. It's all been condensed into one section.
Cool. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to add in on the change there?
No.
Okay.
I'm excited that we have a way to replace items. I don't think anyone realizes what a pain in the butt it was to do what we're doing with focus effects. But now we have a system to do it, which is actually pretty cool. So, yeah.
So internally it's cool.
So internally, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, we also have the passive window going in.
Oh, it's true. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, so we've got a new window where you can actually view the passive effects that are on your character. Did that go in the last update, or is that just
I
going
believe
in?
That's going with the next game
So
update.
that'll be on test on Tuesday also.
Yeah, and so you can see. So now you'll be able to see actually the effects of any of achievements or any of these focus effects that you buy for your character will actually show up in this passive effect window that you can just click and take a look at.
That seems like it would be awesome for actually figuring out what you can actually really do.
Yeah.
And you can easily see all of these focus effects, which ones you've selected, without having to go digging through your character window. You just pull up your character, your actual character portrait, and right on the left, passive effects. Click, there's a list.
Yeah, you guys have been doing a lot of those usability, easy to understand changes a lot in the game, and it's really cool. And speaking of kind of big shifts, and this is a series of smaller ones, but you guys have taken it on yourselves to attack fighters as an archetype and try to make them a more fun class to play. And I know that some of this stuff is not obvious as to what it is. Like, for instance, the recklessness ability that you're adding to fighters. Like, what is that? Why is it cool?
Oh, I'm really excited about recklessness. Recklessness is all fighters get this. It's a new stance, and you get this ability at level 20. And it's an extremely offensive, high risk, high reward attack stance.
Offensive as you call people?
Oh yeah, you call them all kinds of mean names, and you're just rude to them in general. Actually, you do extreme amounts of damage. Your ability damage is vastly improved. However, your incoming damage, the damage that you're taking, is also vastly improved, and you have more trouble holding aggro if you're in this.
You take
stance.
more damage?
Yes, much.
That's not an improvement.
Oh, but the amount of damage you deal is worth it.
No, I mean, it's cool. Then there's a risk and reward thing. I was just joking about the fact that I don't think fighters will find that an improvement.
Oh, well, you never know.
No, it's awesome. You've changed several things. So you have this recklessness stance so that you can take more risk to be able to do more damage and effectively do some DPS.
Right. Yeah. You can actually, if you're the third fighter in a raid, and there's nothing for you to get, as Akil would say, punch in the face by, you can actually start punching things in the face.
That's awesome.
And actually do some noticeable damage.
So raiders should really like this.
Well, I hope so.
I would hope so, yeah. You've done some other changes. There's a mysterious ability called Strike Through, which has changed a little bit. It's only mysterious for some people. But yeah, can you tell me a little bit about that?
So for just a quick run through, Strike Through is the ability for you or your target to ignore an avoidance check. So if you're going to miss and you have Strike Through, I hit anyways. And that happens both ways. What we addressed was Strike Through immunity. So when the target is striking through your defenses, now whenever you use a temporary avoidance buff, such as like Shadow Knight's Furor or Dragoon's Reflexes, you'll have strike through immunity while those temporary buffs are active. This means when you expect your avoidance to go up, it actually goes up. It's
cool.
completely intuitive and more reliable. And so instead of a poor Shadow Knight going, I'm going to use Shadow Knight's Furor. Oh wait, I just got hit 3 times in a row and died.
Right.
That won't happen anymore.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And then heals changed a little bit too, right?
Yeah, so the heals are changing. All fighters now, any heal a fighter does is now percentage based. So instead of healing for a set amount, it just heals for a percentage of the target's health. So it's not your health.
Regardless of
it's
what
the
that
target.
health is.
Right.
Maximum.
Well, it's of your maximum health.
Yeah.
So lay on hands will be pretty much a complete heal when you target someone, no matter who it is. And these no longer will be affected by potency. It's just going to be straight up percentage. And they will always scale. Just like damage reductions and stone skins take a percentage of the incoming damage and prevent it, these will restore a percentage of your health. Therefore, you won't have to worry about, oh, is my heal scaling as well as my stone skin? They just do. They scale evenly, and you want your heal bigger? Get more health. Nice and simple.
So this sounds like a lot more flexibility and essentially more fun factor for the fighters.
Yeah, basically fighters will now be able to take more positions in a raid if necessary. So bringing that 4th fighter won't make you feel like, oh man, we're totally wasting this spot in our 24-man raid. We should have brought another wizard. You won't have to feel like that. So they can now do some more offense if they have to, and like a paladin can essentially, help heal if necessary. Now their heals are more effective. There are some other minor class balance adjustments, which will be going by class, which will be going on to test on Tuesday, right? Is that what we said?
Next Tuesday.
That'll all be in release notes too.
Yeah,
there'll be a lot more details. In
yeah,
the
a lot of details in those release notes.
And anything we say incorrect will be fixed by then.
One would hope.
Hopefully, we won't do too much of that. So, all right. So that goes through the class foci and the fighter changes, but it's been a real long time since we addressed PvP.
Yes.
And in fact, it's probably overdue in a lot of people's minds. And we finally got the time and the right kinds of fixes where we wanted to attack PvP. But can you tell me a little bit about exactly what our goals were with PvP? Like what was it that we wanted to change to make it better, to make people more interested?
Well, we want to improve what we're aiming here is to improve the accessibility and also the rewarding nature of PvP combat. So there were a lot of scenarios where fights they were going a little bit too quickly, or people were being indestructible, and we're just going through and fixing a lot of those issues and making it a lot more fun.
Right.
One
Okay.
One of the big issues that we're fixing with this, that we've heard a lot from the forums and players in the community, is the separation of stats they did a while back, separation of PvP and PvE stats. Essentially what that means, for people who don't know, is if you're on Nagafin, you have to choose if you're going to lose in a PvP fight or you're going to lose in a PvE fight. You can't be effective against all targets at all times. And so what we're doing in this game update is we're getting rid of those separated PvP stats, and we're deriving your PvP stats from your PvE stats. And so that means that when you're wearing some nice PvE armor, you're going to still be able to hold your own in PvP. And when you're wearing PvP armor, you're going to be able to hold your own in PvE. Our goal is still for PvP armor to be the best armor for PvPing,
Sure.
and PvE armor to be the best armor for PvEing, but the gear you get is still going to be useful. You can take your Battlegrounds gear and you can fight in Skyshrine with it, and you'll do pretty well.
That sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And something that they've wanted for a long time, ever since we separated it, really. But that's not the only thing that's being combined, is it? Like you also like the token reward system?
Yeah, the token rewards, before we had a separate token reward system for the open world and Battlegrounds. And the goal with that was to reward open world PvPers with something more. And we thought that, hey, we can just reward them with the same stuff, it's just open world PvPers can get that stuff faster. It allows us to overall bring up the quality of PvP gear in general, because we're just releasing one set and we don't have to worry about Nagafin players getting out of control gear, because they get additional bonuses in addition to the normal effects on the gear.
Oh, I see. So basically, Nagafin open PvP like that and Battlegrounds are now all one big family.
Yes.
That's awesome. Is there less loot to chase because of all this recombining?
Definitely not. We're putting in over 1,000 new PvP items.
1,000?
Yes, in this update.
Okay, that's a
new
couple.
weapons, armor, and accessories for level 30 through 92.
And there's actually multiple sets as well.
Yes, within each tier.
New sets or repurposed sets?
No, new sets of gear. Like the level 90 to 92 bracket has 3 sets of gear that players will be able to upgrade. Like you can get your tier 1 stuff, and
Awesome.
you can upgrade that into tier 2 into tier 3.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's not just the mechanics of PvP that you're changing. You're actually changing a lot of stuff with the game, right? Like including, let's say, the Battlegrounds games?
The big thing is we are removing a battleground. We're actually pulling out Frozen Tundra. It wasn't fun, and we got lots of feedback on how it wasn't fun. And we listened to that, and we took a look at it, and was like, well, we need to make this fun. We need to make this something that players are interested in doing. Let's pull it out and devote some actual time to making it awesome. So we're pulling it out now, and we're going to devote some time and make it awesome. It might even be a different battleground when it comes back, but what it's not going to be is what it is right now.
Okay, but there's 3 other ones besides that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, for gears, we're increasing the value of killing someone, especially when they're holding the murder ball. And we also put up walls by the spawn points to make sure that you can't get spawn camped. In Battlefield of Ganac, the flag carrier will now be unable to be affected by movement speed buffs, and they'll get a snare on him. So you can't just go and cap the flag instantly. And in Smuggler's Den, we mess with the point value of the towers and how quickly it takes to cap them. So that'll change the dynamic of it. And the main goal with all these changes is to make the Battlegrounds a little less gimmicky and just more fun overall.
But also, as part of this, we want feedback. Like, none of these
Yes.
changes are final. We want you guys
Right,
to come.
right.
We want you to play test, and we want you to tell you if it's fun, if you're having a good time at it, because we want to make sure, that's our ultimate goal, is to make sure that you guys have fun when you're playing the Battleground. So hop in and see if the new murder ball changes are actually interesting, because if they're not, then we'll tweak them again.
So you made some game rule. Try again, Dave. Game rule changes, but you also added in some cool new bonuses along the way, right?
Yes. All right, so the bonus tokens they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
So when you're fighting in the battlegrounds and you're, oh yeah, I just killed 10 people. What? I'm on a kill streak. Well, you just got some bonus tokens, and then Dave comes along and kills me. I'm like, oh man, Dave just got some bonus tokens for ending my kill streak. And there's even another one where if I go and get Dave back, I can get some more bonus tokens for getting revenge on the guy who killed me. And there's a whole bunch of these. I believe you can get up to, what was it, like 20%, 10% of the amount of tokens back as bonus. You can get additional bonus. Like,
Oh yeah,
you can get a decent amount.
Yeah.
You can get a decent amount of tokens for all these bonuses, and you just get them while you're playing.
That's awesome.
And there's kill streaks, and kill streaks are cool.
That's absolutely awesome. Did you change something else too? I might be wrong about this. Did you change it so that you get tokens based on your participation rather than just?
So yeah, there's a totally different method of how the tokens are rewarded. Instead of at the end of the match like this now, where you get 5 if you win and 2 if you lose, it's no longer determined just you won or you lost. Right, as the match goes on, you gain tokens, and so for every minute the match continues, the amount of tokens you get goes up. It's based on the duration of the match, and there are throttles, so you can't just camp in there for 30 minutes or 20 minutes or maximum. There's a limit, and there's a bottom limit too. So if you win really fast, you'll actually get more tokens. The best way is go in there and win as fast as you can. But if the match goes long, you don't feel like, oh man, I'm not getting as much as I.
What does this change do for us? Like, why does it make the game better?
Well, what it does is, so now players can say, I can queue up for any battleground. I don't have to say, okay, which one am I going to get done with the fastest? Which one can I min-max and get the most bang for my buck? It's now, which one do I want to play? Which one's most fun for me?
Right.
And I can go into any battleground.
Instead of just seeking out the best loot, basically.
Right.
Cool. That's awesome. Because after all, this is supposed to be fun, right?
Yes.
But there's an even bigger change, right? Which is that Battlegrounds is going to get the level agnostic stuff in it.
Yes.
And I'm sure that still there's a lot of people out there that don't know what level agnostic means.
Of course they don't, because we made it up.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean outside of this room or outside of these buildings. Essentially, what level agnostic is it's a way to level the playing field for players at different levels. So we're using it in Battlegrounds and we're using it in Dungeon Maker. If you've been playing any of the Dungeon Maker stuff on test, you would have seen this. And essentially what it does is behind the scenes, it calculates how much damage you would do to a mob that is your level, and a mob or a player that is your level, and then calculates that out to what you should do to a player or a mob that is the level of the mob you're fighting. So right now in Dungeon Maker, everything is level 92. If I go in there at level 30, it's going to say, how much of damage would this hit have done to a level 30 mob? Do that percentage of damage to this level 92 mob. And we're putting that in Dungeon, in Battlegrounds as well. And the goal is not for, if you're level 85 or level 89, fighting level 30, level 30 is going to have a fighting chance. It's not going to be, you're not going to be exactly on even footing, but the level 30 should feel like they're going to have a fighting chance. And sorry, cutting away here. That we're combining some of the battles.
I'm just imagining a mob of like 530s taking on a couple of 92s and having a good old time.
Oh yeah.
Right now we're planning on separating out the battlegrounds between 30 and 89. So your level 30 won't fight a level 92 with all their prestige abilities and everything. I mean, the gear differential is pretty huge at that point, just from levels. And so the battlegrounds will just be agnostic from 30 to 89. And there's some other things that happen behind the screen, like we're going to level out hit points some, because it just, when we first play tested it, it looked weird because our parses were way off. I was playing a level 85 character, and I was fighting level 30 characters, and my parses were all so tiny. It's like, what's going on? And everyone else was on the top of the Battlegrounds charts because they're all fighting me, and they're getting big damage numbers because I'm higher level than them, even though the match was actually much more even than it appeared to be.
So you're scaling all of that. So effectively the leaderboard gets scaled also.
Yeah, that's essentially why we're doing it. So people's parses and the leaderboard makes sense.
Oh yeah, and you changed the leaderboard some too, right?
We did.
Like it's a much better leaderboard. I wish we had that screenshot. I saw it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So that there's actually more. You did a lot more reinforcement of stuff like that, right? Throughout the game, there's like more bells and whistles and ta-das happening.
Yeah, we're actually putting in some VO in the battlegrounds for when you. Oh yeah, there it is.
There it is. Cool.
So this is actually just a mock-up of what we're planning on it to look like. This isn't what it looks like in game, but I think it should go in pretty similar to what's up there now. As you see, it's much prettier. But we've got the tokens that you earned and the medals and your experience, and that queues up as you're playing through the battleground. So.
Yeah.
You won't get that much experience though.
Yes.
It's a mock-up.
You won't get 3 million. Sorry.
That's a screenshot of a bug.
So am I missing anything here that we were talking about putting on for the Tuesday update on test? Anything major?
We've got Kinos going.
Well, yeah. I mean, is that going to be on test?
It's going to be on test. Yeah.
So it'll be on test also. Yeah. Well, Kinos is actually really cool, and if you haven't seen it, well, of course you haven't seen it. You need to see it. It's well, if you liked the Freeport update, you're going to love the Kinos update. Yeah. It's even better.
We'll talk about that some more soon.
Yeah, it's really cool. Plus, we have the Darklight Wood revamp. Mm-hmm. We have the European launch of the game is coming up soon. We're not exactly sure when yet, but it's coming up soon. And when that happens, we wanted to make sure everybody there got the best possible foot into it so they could be part of our community. And so the Darklight Wood stuff has been revamped. And it's, oh my God, so much better. And all the little newbie improvements and stuff that you've done, that Quest Feather thing is...
Those aren't even just newbie improvements. Those are just game improvements.
They are huge.
Being able to click from your Quest journal to activate your items on mobs in the world is like, man, it's just so huge.
I know.
Fumble for your bag and remember...
God, I like just being able to like wander out into the field and know which monsters are on my quests. I mean, it's just nicety stuff. So a lot of stuff is going into the game. It's getting better and better. You'll be able to see a lot of it on Tuesday, and then we'll have even more stuff to announce later on for the months after that. So I hope this has been interesting to you. Thanks for all your time.
Thank you.
And that's it for today. Appreciate it. Bye-bye now.
Sony.